Did my dad really kill my mom and bury her under our house? I found her journal hidden behind the fireplace. Pages torn. The last entry dated 3 months after she disappeared. She wrote, "He told me to stay still." I hear Victoria laughing upstairs. That date doesn't lie. She was still alive, right beneath us. Then I saw the dog, scratching frantically at the garden wall. And when I pulled up the floorboards in the wine cellar,
The inheritance. This house breathes, lies like oxygen. Victoria stands in the gravel driveway, the taxi retreating like a coward behind her. The Blackwood estate looms, all gray stone and accusatory windows. 10 years since she fled this place. 10 years of carefully constructed safety, now cracking like thin ice beneath her Oxford heels. She'd received the invitation 3 weeks ago. Heavy cream cardstock, Sophie's delicate handwriting. "Please come home. I'm getting married. I need my sister." What Sophie didn't write, "I'm marrying your ex-boyfriend." Victoria learned that particular detail from the wedding website. Liam Crawford, the man who'd held her hair back during panic attacks. The man who'd whispered promises about escape. The man who, apparently, had simply found another Blackwood daughter when Victoria proved too damaged. "Vicky!" Sophie burst through the front door, sunshine incarnate in her white sundress. At 24, she's all their mother's beauty with none of her haunted eyes. "You actually came!" The sisters embrace. Sophie smells of expensive perfume and naivete. "Wouldn't miss it," Victoria lies, the words tasting of ash. Inside, the house is unchanged. Same oriental rugs concealing ancient floorboards. Same heavy curtains filtering sunlight into submission. Same portrait of Eleanor Blackwood above the fireplace, forever 39, forever missing. "Dad's in his study," Sophie chirps. "He's so excited you're here." Doubtful, Victoria thinks, but she follows her sister through corridors that feel like half-remembered nightmares. Professor Robert Blackwood sits behind his mahogany desk, precisely as Victoria remembers. Silver-haired academic royalty, reading glasses perched on his aristocratic nose. When he looks up, his smile doesn't reach his eyes. Victoria, the prodigal, returns. "Hello, Father." He rises, embracing her stiffly. His cologne, sandalwood and something medicinal, triggers a cascade of memories she spent a decade suppressing. "How's Boston?" he asks, pouring whiskey without asking if she wants any. "Fine. My research is going well." Still studying trauma psychology? Still looking for answers in other people's pain? The barb lands precisely where intended. Victoria accepts the whiskey, maintaining eye contact as she drinks. "We're so glad you're here for the wedding," Sophie interjects. "Liam's been asking about you." "Has he?" Victoria keeps her voice neutral. "Speak of the devil," Robert murmurs. And there he is, framed in the doorway. Liam, older now, broader shoulders, same wolfish smile that once made her feel chosen. "Victoria," he says, voice smooth as river stones. "Welcome home." Something passes between them, a current of shared history that makes Sophie shift uncomfortably. "Dinner's at 7, Robert announces. "Victoria, your old room is prepared." She nods, excusing herself. The main staircase creaks its familiar song as she ascends. Second floor, third door on the left. Her childhood bedroom, preserved like a museum exhibit. The 4-poster bed where she'd spent sleepless nights. The window seat where she'd watched for her mother's return. Victoria drops her bag and sits heavily on the bed. On the nightstand, a framed photograph. Victoria at 16, Liam at 20, Sophie at 10, summer at the lake. Before everything fractured. She stares at her teenage self, eyes already wary, smile already practiced. A dog barks somewhere below, not theirs. They never had pets. Must be a neighbor's. But the sound persists, morphing into frantic scratching. Victoria moves to the window. In the garden below, a retriever is pawing desperately at the ground near the library's exterior wall. "Get away from there!" Robert's voice, sharp as a whip. The dog yelps, retreating as Robert emerges onto the lawn, face contorted with anger disproportionate to the crime. Curious, the rehearsal dinner feels like psychological warfare, crystal tinkling against china. Liam's parents, wealthy, vapid, fawning over Sophie. Robert, presiding at the head of the table, the benevolent patriarch. "To the happy couple," he toasts. "May you be blessed with children soon." Victoria watches Liam's hand on Sophie's thigh, watches Sophie blush, watches Robert watching them both. Victoria's been in Boston, Sophie tells the table. She's doing important research. What was it again, Vicky? Intergenerational trauma patterns in family units, Victoria replies, meeting her father's gaze. How we pass our darkness down. Silence falls momentarily. More wine? Robert suggests, lifting the bottle. From the cellar, a special vintage. As he pours, a wedding guest, ancient Professor Langley, 3 glasses deep, leans toward Victoria. "Your father's plan worked out perfectly, huh?" He slurs. "Kept you busy with that boy just long enough." Robert's hand falters. Wine spills like blood across the tablecloth. "Harold," Robert warns, "you're drunk." But Victoria is already replaying the words, dissecting them like one of her research subjects. Kept you busy with that boy just long enough. Later, when the house sleeps, Victoria creeps downstairs. The wine cellar door, always locked in her childhood, hangs slightly ajar. She slips inside, flashlight illuminating racks of dusty bottles. Nothing unusual. Yet the dog's desperation returns to her mind. Back upstairs, passing the library, she hears it, the faintest humming. Sophie, seated at the window, sings a lullaby Victoria hasn't heard since their mother vanished. "Where did you learn that?" Victoria asks, startling her sister. Sophie blinks. "What?" "That song, Mom's song. I don't know. I just remember it." Victoria approaches the fireplace. A loose brick catches her eye, slightly askew. She extracts it, reaching into the cavity beyond. Her fingers close around leather. A journal. Eleanor's handwriting. Sophie watches, wide-eyed. "What is that?" "Mom's diary." Victoria's hands tremble as she opens it. The final pages are torn out. The last intact entry reads, June 15th. "He told me to be quiet, to stay still, but I hear them above. I hear Victoria laughing. The date, 3 months after Eleanor supposedly disappeared." "That's impossible," Sophie whispers. "Mom left us, ran away with that man from her art class." Victoria's mind races. The locked cellar, the dog scratching, the library wall. I hear them above. Dawn finds Victoria confronting her father in his study. "Where is she?" Victoria demands, the journal clutched in her hand. Robert smiles sadly. "Your episodes are returning, Victoria. Remember the hospital, the delusions? Dr. Kirkman warned me this might happen." "Don't gaslight me," Victoria hisses. "I found her journal. She was alive, under the house. What did you do?" Robert's hand trembles slightly as he removes his glasses. "You've always been too much like her. So unstable." That night, Victoria steals the cellar key from Robert's desk. The wine racks reveal nothing but the old stone floor, parts of it newer than others. She pries up flagstones, dirt, more stone. Then the stench hits her, and beneath, wrapped in plastic sheeting, wearing the silk robe from Victoria's last memory of her, Eleanor Blackwood, 17 years decomposed. Victoria doesn't scream. She films it all, uploads everything to her cloud account, sends copies to journalists, police, her academic advisor, and to Sophie. You're lying, Sophie sobs when Victoria shows her. Daddy said she ran away. Look, Victoria insists, showing her the skeletal remains. Look at her hand, clutched in bone fingers. Victoria's birthstone necklace, the one she'd thought lost. The one her mother never took off after Victoria gave it to her. Sophie vomits on the cellar floor, then runs straight to Liam. But Victoria is one step ahead. She's already gone through Liam's belongings, found the recordings. Robert and Liam planning it all. Liam seducing Victoria to keep her distracted while Robert dealt with Eleanor's hysteria. And worse, evidence that Liam had been involved with Eleanor first. Before Victoria, before Sophie. When the police arrive, everything unravels with terrifying speed. Robert arrested. The estate seized as a crime scene. Sophie collapsed, sedated by paramedics. Liam vanishes into the night, never to be found. Months later, Victoria stands alone in the empty house before the new owners take possession. She touches the birthstone necklace now around her own neck. This house had secrets, but so do I. Behind her, the cellar door creaks open, but there's no one there. Just the whisper of Eleanor's lullaby, carried on a draft that shouldn't exist.
If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications.